Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Curry, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. I'm in my car right now and it's a bit raining, so you might hear this in the background, but hopefully I can deliver for you some good content that will get you thinking about your future. Because I woke up to the message that Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, is actually getting a divorce, and I was absolutely stunned. And not that I've ever tracked his marriage, but I was stunned because they'd been together for over 27 years. And I look at some of you guys within relationships. There's guys that I've spoken to that are in their 70s and they regret all of their relationship. They regret staying within their marriages or their relationships. And it was crazy because when I started reading the story, for me, what it looks like, and I could be completely wrong, is that his youngest child, a daughter, I think, has just turned 18. So I'm guessing that the issues had already been happening way before that, and they just felt like until our child moves on, then we can then go our separate ways, because then they want to provide a two-parent home. It's a value that they probably shared more than anything, and then they'd probably already gone separate. So in terms of where they wanted or what they wanted within the relationship, that had already separated, but the one thing that kept them together was the children. And I know some of you guys find yourself in this situation, and this podcast isn't to tell you you need to go separate with a partner, and it isn't, because everything of the Reignited Man is all built around keeping you within that relationship and making you stay and figuring out how to make things work so you can have sexual success first, but also have complete happiness within your relationship, because you can turn it around. There is things that you can do in order to turn it around, and you have to believe so. So I was speaking to a client yesterday and we were talking about this, and I was saying that everything that we're doing right now, it might not work, because sometimes some of the women that you're with, there's a pattern that's already been written within their mind and the process that I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, marriage is going to be miserable, and eventually he's going to leave, and then I'm going to be, like my mom, who was a single mother. So that's all she knows. She's never had a present dad, so therefore she doesn't see the value of having a dad within the house. So there's all these things to contend. Then you have to contend as well with the trauma and the fact that she might not feel like she's capable of dealing with that trauma. So, for example, if she looks a swamp of shame that she's looking at, sometimes it's actually easier to go into self-destruction than facing the actual trauma and dealing with it. So she would rather get divorced with this. She would rather be a single parent than to confront the actual issues. And this becomes a very difficult situation, because while you're out here listening to podcasts, reading books, buying programs, and trying to better yourself, your journey of growth will push you to a place where you can rediscover yourself, rediscover happiness. But all of it is also dependent on if they see your changes and then they want to follow you. And there is a chance that they might follow you initially, but the burden of having to try and focus on dealing with that shame, dealing with that trauma, dealing with other things becomes so, the pain of continuing living with it is easier than the pain of actually living with it, or at least resolving it, sorry. So it becomes a weird bit where it's a very difficult place. And I was talking about this with this client, saying that there's a time when within the relationship where you're going to have to push the growth. So you're pushing her to grow, but there's also times where you have to back off, give an opportunity to discover where she is, and then you push. Because sometimes pushing for her to grow will do more harm than good. You can't force it upon that person. They have to be wanting to do so. So it becomes a weird scenario, because Hugh Jackman's children, the youngest one is 18, I think it's a girl. She's just turned 18, and now they've sort of decided that, okay, we're going to separate now. So you can see that they probably had this sort of shared values of we're going to keep the marriage together as long as the children are within the house. When they discover their own self and now trying to explore the world for themselves, then maybe we can then be separate, because then they've got an opportunity to pursue other things within themselves. For example, if Hugh Jackman, I'm guessing, by the way, if his wife is 13 years older than he is, so in terms from a sexual compatibility, that would have changed massively and changed a lot quicker than us guys with sort of marriages where we are almost similar age. So, for example, the menopause would have happened and you would have been probably in a sexual peak. That would have been a very difficult time to be in a relationship and continue within a relationship. So again, those things that you consider that when you think of the validation that you get from having sex, the closeness that you feel from having sex, and then being Hugh Jackman, being in a sexless relationship, and I'm guessing, by the way, I'm not saying that's the case, being in a sexless relationship, a woman going with menopause, and then you've got hundreds of women that are trying to throw themselves at you. That is probably one of the most difficult places to be. So unless they had some sort of arrangement where Hugh Jackman could go and have, some illicit fun, but again, I guess you wouldn't, because if you did, you would know about it. And plus, there's other things where the statement that they put out, they said is we're now pursuing personal growth individually. So that means that something has happened in terms of their growth. They've now just seen that they're not compatible as a couple. They're great as parents, but not compatible as a couple. And this is something there where you guys might end up finding yourself. Now, before you actually get to the point where you separate, because I know some of you guys will like the easy way out. You say, yeah, we're not compatible. Let me move out. Let me go. I suggest that you have to be like Hugh Jackman. You ride that goddamn car until the wheels fall off. Like, you just continue working hard to make that thing work up until, for example, the kids move out. Because, for example, my relationship, if I was still working on it for us to have sexual success, I would have been still working on it until now. And I would have gone through all that pain. One, because with the shared value of keeping a two-parent home. And two, then I would like to change the generational curse of having terrible marriages. So I'll be working hard to make us happy. I'll be working hard for making myself individually happy. I'll be working hard to contribute to the relationship so that we're both contributing to that relationship. And for us, it's worked out for us. And we're happy to be showing those kind of traits to our children. But more importantly, there were so many times when I felt like I needed to give up. So many times I considered divorce. There's so many times I considered not being, part of the family anymore, just seeing the kids and never seeing her ever again. And I felt that, and I wanted to be, I thought, well, maybe if I meet somebody else, I'll be completely happy. And that's what I thought. But the truth is, then I had to knuckle down and just keep working hard. And this is what I'm suggesting to you guys, that you guys have to continue working hard and believe that it's going to work out. The personal growth that you're going through is going to inspire her to move. It's going to be, it might cause her to feel imposter syndrome. It might cause her to project. It might cause her to be cruel. It might cause her to resist. There's all sorts of negativity that will be surrounding her, you guys moving forward, because she's not growing. But over a period of time, she's going to grow. If she doesn't, over a period of time, and again, I'm not saying you have to wait till your children. There might come a time where staying together becomes more harmful to the people around you. When that happens, then yes, you have to separate. And this is probably the only time I can tell you guys this is when you're supposed to separate. And personally, that's where I think most people should separate. When your relationship, staying together, is now causing harm to the children in terms of just you're traumatizing your children, yes, then you have to leave. You have to leave that relationship in order to protect them and also protect yourself. So this is a very weird podcast episode that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think there's a lot of information in this space where, as soon as everything goes wrong, you have to leave. And I think I'm really against that sort of teaching, because it's going to be challenging, especially when you've got children. Relationships are always going to be challenging, and you have to have that leadership inside of you. You have to have that resilience inside of you to actually see all of this through and be able to really turn things around when things are going wrong as well. So again, if you try every single thing that is possible to make it work and it doesn't work, when you get into the next relationship, the likelihood of this repeating itself will be close to zero, because you've learned so much in order, because again, this is your fuel for personal growth. So the resistance that you face from your partner is something that is going to help you to actually get you to grow even more than you are growing right now. So thank you very much, guys, for listening, and hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. Take care.